Boobs.
Hello, ladies. Would you like another snitching grouping?
I was going to say, if it tastes like Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'm in.
Hello, welcome to the first ever episode of Stories and Stogies, where we will be chit-chatting about movies, our favorite cigars, have a few drinks, and have a few laughs. We come to you from the mountains of West Virginia, where all there is to do is tell stories.
Watch movies.
And stampede women and rape cattle.
That's
Yeehaw.
right? Yeah.
So, the main idea of this is so we can get together, smoke some stogies, watch a movie, and talk about it. Give it some ratings, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly.
Which is actually a movie that we may do at some point.
Yes, very good. So, this week's cigar is the Perdomo Reserve Champagne 10th Anniversary, it's a Connecticut. It's a good cigar. I'm not... the only two times I've puked was after smoking a Perdomo. But I do like them.
It's good.
But they're good cigars. They draw test, but like a lot of companies draw test.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie that we watched is 1970... What was it? 1974's R-rated Blazing Saddles by Mel Brooks.
Which is amazing. Mel Brooks is absolutely one of my favorite writers, directors, producers, everything, because he does everything.
He's like the original slapstick comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was in a fucking, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Jew. Like, he just checks every box. Like, cool guy. I think he smokes cigars.
He does, in the movie as well.
Yes, true.
Well, actually, what's funny when you watch in the movie, though, he doesn't actually puff.
He's
making the motion and there's smoke, but he's not breathing in at all.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you watch that scene, I was paying attention to it again the other day, and I noticed that.
I was admittedly designing our logo while watching the movie this morning because I got a little distracted this week.
Yeah. Well, it's funny as you pointed out that clip where Mel went behind the curtain with his secretary.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I never caught that, and then the second time, I'm like, oh, now it makes sense.
It's the best part, especially when he walks back and he just drops his pants and starts whistling.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
It's great.
He's so good.
But to enjoy this, Webby and I are we're also drinking some Dunville Very Rare. I picked this whiskey up in Ireland over the summer. Hadn't had it yet. It's a 12-year-old and it is just
very smooth,
delicious.
Mm.
And as the group's alcoholic, who's sober for a while, I am drinking a 1974 coffee, black. No,
it's been aging in the mountains of West Virginia as well.
No pun intended.
Yeah, this was a movie. So let's talk about who was in it. Cleveland Little played the Sheriff Bart.
Isn't it Clavon?
Clavon. I don't know. That might be, our age kind of talking now. Like instead of Sharon, Sharon.
Just legitimately wasn't sure the pronoun. I mean, it's just
who knows?
Nothing wrong with that.
It's like Cleaver, but with an O-N. So it's
Regardless, he's hilarious. I think he's perfect for that role because they originally, I think, were debating on Richard Pryor.
I think I saw that.
And
he did part of the screenwriting.
I think, but I think it works. Pryor would have been funny because he's Richard Pryor, but I don't think he had the right kind of.
Didn't he ruin Superman 3 though?
I mean, everybody ruined Superman. He wasn't unique in that. True. I mean, by the time 3 came around, there's only so much good to
and then
do.
4.
But yes, but Cleavon Little, And then everybody's favorite, Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Where's Gene Wilder?
Known for fucking
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
What's
Willy
the one that he played in?
Young
where
Frankenstein.
he was-
Young
he
Frankenstein.
was blind.
Producers.
One was
Hear
deaf.
No Evil, See No Evil.
Yes.
With him and Richard. That was
Oh
a
my
great
God.
one. Yeah.
Mark
Richard
that
Pryor
on,
again.
Mark that on the list.
We got to put that.
Well, he had a kid. There was a couple with Richard Pryor because he did that. They were both in Silver Streak. There was what was the one where they were?
Well, not a lot
they
of
went
people
to
know
jail.
Gene Wilder played Lex Luthor in Superman 3. When he shaves his head, looks totally different.
Very different.
What's the one? Stir Crazy. Stir Crazy was a good one too.
Yes.
That was good. Anyways, I'm definitely a Gene Wilder.
It's hard to
fan.
believe those guys are not around anymore.
I know.
Such classics.
Yeah, it's all just
Well, I mean,
dumb now.
but it's like this movie. I mean, this is a great movie. You could never remake it.
yes,
You could
all
never
we've been
remake it.
saying is you could. I mean,
You could, but it wouldn't be the same.
yeah, I'm gonna bleep stuff,
Well, we're not saying
right?
that.
But there's a lot of stuff. Like, it's not just the N-word usage throughout the movie.
Some racial.
Pick a letter. There's the F word. I think the J word somewhere. The N word. They speak Yiddish, which might piss off someone. I don't know. Fucking. But Gene Wilder. What I love is Taggart, the guy that was
Slim Pickens.
his real name. Well, I guess that's his actor's. Who knows? Back then, they might not have made fake name or actor names, but his name is Slim Pickens.
That's it. Luis Burton Lindley Jr. is his name.
His real
real
birth
name.
name. So he did.
But Slim Pickens is awesome. But I mean, he's just. I mean, and then Harvey Korman is just classic
He was
comedic
awesome.
actor, absolute classic comedic actor. I mean, if anyone doesn't know who Harvey Korman is, just honestly go back and watch any comedy stuff. I mean, him and was it Tim Conway had that huge partnership for years.
Yeah.
And then Mel Brooks. He's always in one of his movies. Multiple times. He was the governor, the Yiddish speaking Indian chief or Native American.
He even is randomly one of the henchmen. Like, so when they're doing that the line where they're signing up
we
all
don't
the
need no badge.
yeah, he's actually one of those henchmen in that scene. They just kind of scan past him, and standing next to him, I forget the name of the actor, but there's actually a really famous actor who's in a lot of spaghetti westerns. Just kind of there, just chilling for fun. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Mel Brooks is in all of his stuff. But then you've got some of the people that were his regular contributors, like Madeline Kahn. She's in there. She's absolutely hilarious. Don DeLuise, small part but hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don DeLuise.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying
David
like
Huddleston.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. So if you guys notice me blinking a lot, I learned grilling is not easy, and I opened my grill and flame shot up, and apparently I singed some eyelashes, and every time I blink they Velcro to the lower lashes, so I apologize. I think we need to give a special shout out to Robin Hilton, Miss Stein, the governor's assistant, I guess.
Yes.
Boobs.
Hello, ladies. I miss you.
Hello.
I love it when he got the not a racquetball. What's that? Paddle ball.
The little paddle ball
He's
thing.
like, oh, it's defective.
Why do I always get the warped one?
Yeah.
And then fucking Headley Lamar
Add 'em up
was
to the
like,
guys.
"Bup, bup, bup, bup." Yes, sir.
It's Eddie.
So why don't we give a synopsis? How do you guys? We can just chit chat it, or you said we could read it off of somewhere, whatever you think.
Well, I mean, we definitely got to give a general synopsis. Do you want to take it? I mean, you picked the movie.
Yeah, Webb, go for it. And we'll help out.
Well, I
We'll
did
fill
write
in.
one down.
Well.
Oh, really? You are the most prepared. I didn't write shit.
He wrote that,
I
but
was
other than that,
only
he doesn't remember.
preparing because I figured you were going to throw this at me, so I said I better.
Well, we told you we were going to throw it at you.
We're gonna sandbag you.
No, we literally said that in the group text, though. We're like, hey, whoever's movie does the.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry, it'll be our turn
Yeah,
later.
so-
Yeah.
All right, so my synopsis: Blazing Saddles. In this satirical take on westerns. Oh, sorry.
Just get
So-
the mic closer.
This crafty railroad worker, Bart, played by Clavion Little, becomes the first black sheriff of Rockridge, a frontier town about to be destroyed in order to make way for a new railroad. Initially, the people of the Rockridge harbor racial bias towards their new leader. However, they warm to him after realizing that Bart and his perpetually drunk gunfighter friend, Gene Wilder, played by Gene Wilder, are the only defense.
The Waco kid.
The
Come
Waco
on.
kid. Sorry about that,
Jim.
I didn't put that in there. I should have. And I realized that when I read it, I was like, "Oh shit! I forgot his actual."
It's a really good synopsis. Though. Like,
And just to finish it off, and their defense against the wave of thugs sent to rid the town of its population.
dude, that's better than I think I would have done. That was
that we were just like, there's a sheriff and
and people are racist.
Yeah, that was pretty much going to be ours.
I was trying to like
And he had some vocab.
sort of kind of like not racial about saying it was racial, but in hindsight, it is a very racial movie.
And it's racial. It's just prejudicial.
Yes.
Like you talk religion, you talk sex.
We're talking about
and
slavery in the beginning, and
Well, and it's funny too because there's a lot of parts in the movie where they even play into it. Where I don't think people realize it. Like one of the Yiddish words that Mel Brooks says is actually the Yiddish word for black. Like when he sees Clevon's family, when he's there, like the one word he utters is actually black in Yiddish, and that's why And then when they get the letter addressed to the deputy Spade, Spade is a derogatory term, so it was that's what it was kind of meant to be. So it was funny they even kind of added those little pieces in there that were all kind of, I don't think some people picked up on that, but
I liked when the old lady who just so there's a couple parts to this. Oh, huge spoiler alert! Fuck, it's a movie review podcast. Like if you haven't get that on the way,
if you didn't watch the movie, we apologize. Go watch it and then. Yeah, please come back.
This is our first episode, so we didn't really have a way, but we will be telling you our next episode's movie so that you can follow along if you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, because we still have to decide. But there's so many parts to this, and I was reading IMDb. I was reading a bunch of IMDb trivia because we all do that, and I was really proud of myself because I caught something. It's pretty obvious. But when what's his name, Bart, the sheriff, goes out and he's very polite to the old lady and says, hello, good morning, ma'am, or something, and she's like, screw off, and then it cuts to the scene where he's just downtrodden.
What did you expect?
He's like, these are
good morning,
Sonny people, blah blah blah, and he's consoling him, and then he's like, morons, and then apparently Cleavon Little broke character like that, like Gene Wilder tossed that in and he actually broke, and I felt like that was a thing, and then IMDb said it was, so I'm assuming it's true.
Well, I would IMDb doesn't lie. Does it?
But I love that whole sequence. Then she comes back and tying into what you're saying with the pie, and then she's like don't let anyone know that I said
trust
this
you'll
to you.
have the good nature not to tell anybody I was here. So but it's funny. So they Cleavon Little was supposed to be executed because he decided to hit somebody over the head with a shovel.
Oh, wait a minute. I got actually a really cool quote with that.
Go for it.
So Boris, who is the executioner,
oh my God,
and quote unquote, the hanging house, he goes, so basically, I forget who that guy is. Headley, I guess? Headley Lamar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
so
like the...
Headley Lamar peeks out the window, and he goes to Boris, hey, could we possibly get another special then? Yeah. And so Boris, he goes, I couldn't possibly... Oh, man, I got to do this with that.
He's got such a weird voice.
He's got the tongue hanging out. I couldn't possibly think of it until Monday, sir. I am booked solid. Oh, my God.
And that's when he's got the noose around the horse.
He's got the noose around the horse.
I don't know if that's good or when he's got the old man. Oh, yes, the Dr. Gillespie killing. I mean, it's just that's hilarious because it's a line. It's like an MVA line where they're just waiting for the next one and
they're just patiently.
I don't know when I could possibly get them into there.
But you brought something up that I've never really thought about, and I don't know if it's a big point, but he's a railroad worker. He turned sheriff. He's got background. You could almost build your own background to Sheriff Bart's history, which is kind of cool because he was just there. I'm assuming they weren't slaves.
Well, they weren't, because remember, that was the first thing. He's like, because when y'all were slaves, you sang
Yeah.
like birds. So it was post Civil Wars is
Right.
what they made it look. What I liked about it, though, is they played into what I think is still a very uncommonly known thing, or a surprisingly uncommonly known thing, in that a lot of people don't realize the way that even Irish and Italian immigrants were treated. But like the Irish immigrants, they were treated like second, third class citizens, and they made that play where at towards the end where they were banding together, and they're like,
that's right.
we'll include
the Irish.
Well, that's what they did, because they're like, all right, we'll give some land to the blacks and the Chinese, but not the Irish. And they're like, okay, the Irish too.
All right.
And it was one of those really funny little moments, but it's one of those eye-opening ones, I think, for people that don't really understand.
Obviously, this all coming from a Jew.
And that's a big thing, is not to go political and stuff, but slavery, Irish were slaves, Jews were slaves, blacks were slaves, Chinese, or just Asian in general, Italian, like there's still slavery going on in other countries, and they're just talking, something you have to love about Mel Brooks and making movies in the 70s is you have a guy who genuinely wants to poke fun of racism and bad history to make us laugh about it and heal from it, which is like kind of cool. It's kind of like what I feel Dave Chappelle was always doing. He said, if I can desensitize the word and make us laugh about it, it loses its power.
Well, yeah, I think,
coming from three white guys.
Yeah, take it subjectively, but I mean, it is one of those things. Power, words only have power if you give them power. If you take the power away, then it's just another word, and it doesn't mean anything.
Of course, this was like
1974.
No, I mean 18.
The movie
story was
1875,
something like that.
I think.
Yeah. So I mean, This was like Civil War time, and slavery was obviously. A part of
they're still getting
history.
used to not being a norm.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, the great thing about the movie is it does just in every way poke fun at Westerns and the Wild West. And I mean, really, it kind of makes a mockery of it all. It
was a mockery.
And it's fun because you didn't really have a lot. Like, you would have comedies, but that was the beautiful thing about really Mel Brooks in general, is that you didn't have someone that really at a large scale make mock you, whatever you call them, types of movie, like spoof kind of movies and stuff.
Right.
And so it was fun to watch, because it was just he hit all the cliches of a Western almost.
Oh my god,
he was like the godfather of slapstick.
Yes.
Back in the day.
I don't want to jump ahead, but my favorite scene in any movie of all time is the campfire farting scene.
Oh my god, the baked beans.
Oh my god! And like I read, I read online that it's the first ever scene in a movie with just flatulence, with just farting, and apparently Mel Brooks just recorded anyone that could fart. Like they weren't farting in the scene, obviously, but he farted in a microphone and just grabbed anyone that could fart and just cut it into the movie during that scene. And
that's awesome.
It's like, we like intelligent humor, but holy fuck, farts are fucking funny. Like, if you do it right.
That's a satire, right? Like campfires, farting.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. They drink black coffee and beans. Like, why are they not farting all the time?
Right, exactly. That was their diet, beans.
That's the crazy shit. Like,
it's the magical fruit.
Where
the more you eat, the more you toot.
Yeah. So, like, you and Webby and I are doing you still doing carnivore?
That was a no.
I'm trying to get back on.
That was a no.
Good. So I've been doing carnivore for a long time now. Well, not years, but like within the year. And like, I went from like farting all the time, craziness, to just eating meat and drinking water, and I just don't fart anymore. So you just, that contrast of like what they're eating, just like how, like it had to be such, you just think real cowboys back then had to have been farting. Not just in the movies. Why didn't they do it in the movies? But real cowboys farting all the time on, like, in the Wild West. They're like, shh, we got like Apaches coming, and then like a loud fart rips out, and then they die. Like,
there's another amazing thing is like our troops, like whether it goes back to World War II to Vietnam and things like that, where they're on the front line, and all they're given are these MREs.
Yep.
And how does that not make them gassy?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just trying to be as still and as quiet as possible, and all of a sudden you're like, "Ah," you know, and you're like, like, you know what I mean? You got like Vietnamese or whatever like patrolling, and they're like, wait a minute, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, could you just imagine like a Mel Brooks movie where these soldiers are like one right after another tooting away? And you know what I mean?
This summer, quiet. What was it like? All Quiet on the Eastern Front 2.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Billy's got the Schlitz. Like,
Oh man.
but yeah, it's farts. They're just fucking funny to me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and so for anyone that hasn't seen it or that likes the movie, it's obviously the scene where they band together a bunch of outlaws, because the goal is, like Webby mentioned, is to drive the people out of this town. They make an initial effort, which is unsuccessful. So he's the attorney general, I think, is what Headley Lamar's. Okay. So his idea is to appoint a black sheriff, and based on the racism that existed at the time, they basically would just flee themselves. They would just basically say, like, yeah, we ain't doing this.
Was it the number 6?
The
number 6?
Well, that was when they because they whipped up the number 6.
Oh yeah,
first.
you're ahead. Yeah,
they whipped up the number 6, and the number 6 didn't work though.
We go a whomping and a
whomping and a whooping.
Every goddamn person.
Everything within an inch of its life.
And the women, you spare the women? Nah, we rape the shit out of them.
The number 6 dance. But it doesn't work, so they devise a scheme to hire a black sheriff, and then that quickly kind of backfires a little bit. They don't instantly kill the sheriff, and so then they send in Mongo. Mongo's a great character.
I like Mongo.
I love Mongo.
We used to, this is kind of mean, but we used to, a nickname for a child that I knew was Mongo.
Oh, wow.
You guys can probably guess which child that was. I won't say.
It's funny because they make Mongo out to be this like Hulk, you know what I mean? Like this modern day Hulk who's, invincible. But if you look at him, he's not really.
Yeah, he wasn't all jacked. He was just kind of a big guy.
Back then, though, that really, you didn't have, it wasn't the same as it is now. But
they couldn't afford a bodybuilder.
I mean, he got taken down by a candygram. I mean,
what,
so
Lou
come on. Now.
Lou Ferrigno wasn't available then?
Candygram for Mongo. Mongo like candy.
Didn't the sheriff? He was like, the hardest part was inventing the candygram.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was funny. Then I love it because I do it all the time where it's like Mongo don't know.
Yeah,
Mongo only pawn in game of life. It's one of my favorite things. I say that all the time. I love it.
Oh, man.
But it's funny. It's great.
I read the ox he wrote in on. I was always wondering why it said yes and no on the ox butt cheeks, but apparently that was a thing for school buses where it was telling you which side you can pass the bus on. Not sure if that's true, but I think they were just trying to convey that he's as big as a bus. All facts brought to you by imdb.com.
That is funny. I like that.
So I thought that was neat. But yeah, he just when he lights it, we should have who knows what the cigars were, but when he
lit them in an actual campfire.
Yeah, and he leans down, his hat's just on fire. Yeah, fires happen.
Yeah.
But so we've got this guy who, as Webb said, he's a railroad worker, but he's that special Neo Matrix kind of chosen one that is smart and quick thinking. And
his grandmother was a Dutch.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that one.
I love that one.
And it's so hard. This movie is actually really difficult to discuss because I was thinking about this the whole movie. Every line is quotable. Like, you could almost say every line is quotable. Mm-hmm. Like, every single conversation.
Yeah.
It would just be unjust or maybe just difficult to just talk about your favorite parts because the movie's so good.
Yeah.
Which also sucks because there's not a lot that's bad.
Well, this is a funny one. Like the quote, like I took that. I was like, I don't know. At the same time, it was really funny. At the same time, trying to understand it. Like, how does a tractor have nuts?
Yeah.
Like where did that come from? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, what was the quote? It was
So basically, Taggart, the gang leader, he basically says
Slim Pickens. That guy.
Slim Pickens. Yep. So he goes to Headley, his mastermind boss. Goes, oh, thank you, sir, and don't you worry. We'll make Rock Ridge think that they're a chicken that got caught in a tractor's nuts. Like, okay. So you're thinking tractor's nuts.
Mm-hmm. They're, like, that's got to make you wonder if there's like if that's a saying.
I mean, it might be. But I mean, remember, he's the one that has like the great one, like early on when the guys are all dancing around. And we were talking about, John and I were talking about this earlier, and he comes rolling up. What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
So good. It's so good.
And it's funny because I mean that's what I think that's what I love about it is, you know, they're making a spoof, so they're not, you know, it's
and honestly I think that's when Wild World or sports had actually first started was in the 70s, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
So like,
what it's called, the wild world of
Wild World of, I think it's just Wild Sports or Wild World of Sports.
Yeah,
something like that.
World of sports.
It's kind of before all this stuff came around with NFL or NFL Network and all that.
So the Wide World of Sports on
Wide
ABC.
World.
Oh wow, it was made in 1961.
Oh,
yeah,
crap.
so that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I was kind of hoping that was just a random joke, and then they made it. But I guess it wouldn't.
But
like,
if you think about it, this took place in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So for them to say that,
Well,
like Paul said, it's more of a spoof that was kind of like thrown in there.
Well, so I mean, and it all transpires. I mean, so you know, we all have, you know, we love so much about the movie. You know, especially the characters. I think all the characters are hilarious. They're all very well casted, I believe. I mean, and it's just perfect. You know, I mean, even when you look at the main actors, like Gene Wilder, would you look at Gene Wilder as like a gunslinger? You wouldn't, but he plays it so well.
he really does. He gets serious faces during their first when the scene to set it up is the sheriff. Why do I keep forgetting his name? Beck, Becker, Bart. I should know that. When Bart goes into the sheriff's office, he sees like the local drunkard, and he's hanging upside down, and he's all sluggish and slothy, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I was the Waco kid."
Yeah,
the Waco kid.
yeah.
And he's like like that beautiful classic scene where he's like, "Look at this hand," and his hand's just still, and he's like steady as a rock, and he's like, "Yeah, but this is my shaking hand," and it's like jittering like crazy.
Oh, that's great.
But then they do the. I actually wanted
The story.
the story of when
You know, like you know, put your hands up or reach for whatever. He's like, I turn around and I'm staring at a 10-year-old kid. So put my gun back in the holsters and turn back around, and bastard shot me in the ass. He's like, so I crawled into the nearest saloon, and I've been in the bottom of a bottle ever since.
So good.
And it's great.
it's kind of like that. Think about that. That's actually a realistic story of like this guy who's a gunslinger, and he's got a heart where he's not going to fuck around with a kid, but then the kid just takes a dirty shot at him, and it just breaks you.
Well, I mean, you look at that time period in general. I mean, the Wild West. I mean, you know, I mean, like, you know, there's a lot of debate on what Billy the Kid, his age actually was he actually a kid? But I mean, a lot of those people, they were even just teenagers for the most part. Like, it's, you know, a lot of those gunslingers, they're not 50-year-old guys running around out there. A lot of them are teenagers or younger people.
They could be, though. We're pretty spry.
Really? I'm only 40. There ain't no way I'm running around out there. I'm working on it, though.
I'm 34 and I can barely walk.
I'm working on it.
But no, it's so good. And the scene where he tells Bart to put his hands on the side. They're playing chess. Yeah. And he says, you know, like, grab the king as soon as I say go. And I was trying to watch it. I didn't want to rewind it because I was working while watching the movie. But he says, go, and the Waco kid, what's his name? What was the Waco?
Jim.
Jim's standing, you know, 3 or 4 feet away. And just in the scene, he says, go. And the Bart character just slaps his hands and grabs it. And then he opens them up and the king's gone. And it's superhero speed. It's completely magical. But I'm wondering when they filmed it, how did they do that?
They probably just
like stopped it,
or I mean any magic sleight of hand, but I mean they could have. But
it was just cool. Like I thought that was.
But
neat.
what's neat about it is that you had that scene, and it was a great introduction to Gene Wilder's character, and it was a great setup for kind of how badass he really is.
Because he ends up
being pretty bad. Yeah. But the best part about it is Gene Wilder, who was already becoming established. You know, producers had already been out. He'd already made some stuff. He was starting to make a little bit of a name for himself. He really did take a secondary role for the entirety of that movie. Though. He was not the star. Yeah. He was a great second, third character.
Yeah.
But he played it so well, because that was one of the things where, you know, watching, you know, even just the Mel Brooks and his collaboration in other movies, you see where he typically was at least the number, you know, equal cast.
Yeah.
But he really kind of just took that
a backup.
He was like the deputy. He took the side role and did it so well. I mean, he really was a perfect balance to it. He just kind of, you know, came in with some comedic stuff, but kind of played a more serious, logical presence for Cleveland. And I think that's what's kind of cool about it, is that he was actually probably the most logical, sane person in the entire movie. When you really think about all the characters, you know, because he's the one giving the sound advice. You know, what did you really think these people were going to do? How did you really think they were going to treat you? And
don't go out there.
Isn't that his role in every movie? It seems like he's that
not young Frankenstein.
Not young Frankenstein. I mean, but you watch a lot of the movies. Like you watch. I mean, I guess to some extent. I mean, you know, he typically was more of the balance. But I mean, Willy Wonka is just classic. The way he portrayed that will. I mean, that's no offense to Johnny Depp or anybody else, but you can't. I don't think you can touch.
What's that? He did. Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet.
The kid from Dune.
I haven't seen the newest one though. I haven't seen it
either. It's a prequel.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious.
I'm curious because I like the story.
But James Bond plays the little munchkin guy, the Oompa Loompa.
Which Bond? Daniel Craig?
No.
Or Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan. Nice. I think.
Well, he plays a lot of weird characters though. I mean, he's like a Minotaur in Percy Jackson. I mean,
yeah, right.
What? Oh yeah. Yeah. And aren't they remaking Percy Jackson?
I think they're doing is it a series or is it just another movie?
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. But
it's
regardless,
Disney Plus.
But yeah, I mean, Gene Wilder's character is great. I mean, Cleavon Little's character is just classic. I mean, he plays. I mean, I think the best is when he takes himself hostage. when he first arrives in town and the whole town pulls their guns on him, and I mean, he's standing there with an entire town of white people pointing their guns at him. So what does he do? He pulls the gun on himself and pretends like he kidnaps himself,
and like slowly backs himself.
Put the guns down, or he gets it, and he put down your guns, people. Do what he say. Do what he say. And then and it's just great because he drags himself into the sheriff's office, and he's just like, "Hey, baby, you are so good, and they are so dumb." Like it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
That was good.
It was great, but
as Webb said during the synopsis, I'm sorry, that's a big word. The story. I was just trying to joke off of a quote that
I was joking too. So
what you don't know is he
kind of fell into my joke.
He typed in Blazing Saddles plot, put it into the chat GPT, and that's what came out.
that was really well.
That was
written.
good. That was good. That was like book report. Like speech in front of class.
When you start taking notes, you start reading, and you're thinking, oh, how do I really narrow this down more?
That was my problem with this movie. Going back to how good it is, you would just here is the script. Those are my notes of parts.
Well, that's why I like talking about the characters, because everybody was so great. I mean, like we've talked about Taggart, Slim Pickens' character. He was hilarious. Harvey Korman, I thought, was absolutely perfect for this movie.
Harvey Korman
he was Hedley Lamar.
Let's give it up for like the I don't know what you want to call it, the the
busty
CGI in that movie. Like one time they flipped a horse over and you could tell it was fake. But what about the time they rode into town, Taggart and his men, and they were like sort of kind of like taking over the town, and all of a sudden this horse and the rider
and
falls off into the mud, and that was like a real horse. That wasn't like fake stuff.
No, I was very surprised at that. I saw it when I watched it again yesterday because I was like, because you start to wonder, was that meant to happen? But he jumps right up and he hits the guy with the bag or whatever. So like, I think it was planned.
Yeah,
which was impressive because one like
that's like an impressive like
a hard fall. I'm surprised that horse just jumped right. Like it was,
I wonder if there was like when did they start the whole like no animals were harmed during?
That was after that.
Yeah, it was a scene after that where they actually tipped over a horse.
Yeah,
and you could tell it was like a cardboard horse.
But no, it was good. There was the one during that same what was it, number 6?
Yeah,
scene. There was a dude up on a balcony. And they just straight up tied a rope to one of the posts holding the balcony and just yanked the whole fucking thing down. And I think the dude fell and hung on a ledge.
Yeah.
And that was all real.
Well, I love the guy that they rope and then start dragging him out of town. He's like, well, there goes the end of this suit.
And they were really dragging the dude.
Yeah.
You got to wonder, like, the stuntmen in this movie, how...
It was good.
Yes.
It was good. Like, But, yeah, I mean, that was great. But, and so actually... a funny part in the I think it's when Mongo comes to town. So and it was just one of those funny parts I was reading about earlier. Because I never thought about it, but when he comes into town, and you remember the guy that was when they did the number 6 and they pulled the shower down and he's standing there naked, covered.
Yeah, super skinny.
So
dude.
when Mongo comes to town later, and he's the one that kind of freaks out and says, "Mongo Santa Maria." So what's funny is that Mongo Santa Maria was actually like I forget the type of, like some type of a jazz or something singer in the 1960s. There was a guy whose name was Mongo, and I can't remember if it was actually pronounced Santa Maria, but it was something along that line. It was kind of funny. It was like a funny reference to a singer. I can't remember the style. It was like some type of jazz type of, or something along that line or something. I forget.
According to,
but it was a funny, just inclusion of just a random person that
actually existed.
Mm-hmm.
So Ramon or Mongo Santa Maria Rodriguez. I've been taking Duolingo. Frank and I decided to try to learn Spanish this year.
I've actually been thinking about that. Like, I got a thing from, because I was thinking about doing like the lifetime subscription for like the Babbel or whatever.
Yeah,
thinking about it.
I did research. So Babbel, how I pronounce everything weird. Babbel, from what I read, is like very textbook. This is your o as a amos a san.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very textbook learning. And then Duolingo is fun games, learn how to get the gist of like communication.
Yeah.
So like what I read was if you do Duolingo first just to get a general idea of phrases and then go into Babbel, it's like a perfect hybrid.
That's cool.
Who knows? It all depends on your learning.
Yeah.
But anywho, so that guy was a Cuban percussionist and band leader who spent most of his career in the U.S. Primarily, a conga drummer.
Yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool. But I mean, it's funny they included him. But of course, I mean, like the biggest,
such a random thing.
Well, I mean, the biggest joke in the whole movie is Hedy Lamar's character. Mm-hmm. So Jono and I were talking about this earlier because for anyone who doesn't know, Hedy Lamar is a playoff of Hedy Lamar, who was a very famous Golden Age actress. And she was a great actress in her time. But what I thought John would be interested. So some reference on the three of us. We all have spent the majority of our careers working in the telecommunications industry.
We didn't even introduce ourselves.
We haven't, which is kind of funny that we're this far into it and nobody knows who we are. We're saying names and stuff. So anyway, we can say that for another time.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end.
Yeah,
nobody cares who we are.
Nobody really does care. They'll form their own opinions anyways.
Who are we?
But the three of us, we all met in the telecommunications industry. Yep. And so, we all worked together and in different fashions and, we didn't hate each other enough. So we became friends. Yep. Which is pretty cool. I mean, you have to admit, at work you mostly hate people that like people, so it's nice when you actually find some people that you can tolerate being around for more than 5 seconds.
Yep. Enjoying stogies,
and stories, and
stories and stogies.
Yeah,
it's so hard to find anybody to like anymore where I work. It's becoming like a very
Well, that's because we don't work with you anymore.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I
Yes.
mean.
That's the problem.
You guys
is
all left.
We all worked together a few years ago, for a couple years. So I'll give a quick backstory
Sure,
on
go for it, yeah.
us.
And then we'll go back to
Back it
So
up.
we all
Hedwig.
worked for a cable company. And we had all gotten hired at said cable company over varying different timelines. And Jono was working out of one office. Steve was working out of another with another friend of ours, who is, it'd be cool we can get him on at some point. As
We're talking about Chad?
We're talking about Chad.
Okay.
Get him as a call-in at some point. But we all worked together. I became their manager, actually. And so we just kind of all started just kind of chit-chatting, hanging out. A couple years ago, we kind of started forming a good friendship. I left said company. Our friend Chad, he ended up leaving, joining me at the new company that I'd gone to. And then Jono had left, and he had joined us there in a different fashion. And we've all moved on to some bigger and better things. Steve has stuck it out at the OG.
He's going strong.
Why?
He is going strong.
Why? Why?
Well, we'll have some conversations.
Yeah. So we're all telecom guys.
But we're all telecom guys. We've done a various bunch of different things in the telecom industry, which is all kind of cool. We've done, between just your standard service installation work, between your network maintenance work, which is what Jono is doing now, to varying leadership roles and doing business all sorts of fun, awesome stuff. It's a good industry, growing industry. We love it. We hate it, but it's what built our friendship, and
Coax runs through our veins.
yeah, it does.
It's
Well,
almost like there's a copper line.
a copper line.
Maybe we'll get a sponsor.
Huh,
someday.
copper line. I've heard that before.
I
Copper
almost
line.
wore my copper line
should-
sweatshirt today.
Search Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon for copper line.
Yes.
Interesting. Very
Possibly
interesting.
Apparel.
They might have hats, I think.
Yes.
I think I've seen a mug
And hoodies.
and hoodies. Yes, a hoodie. I have a t-shirt.
I think there's a hat rolling around somewhere.
There's a hat. So, funny plug. John doesn't want to do it. We do own an apparel
Oh, you were
company.
leading me into it.
No, we're just goofing around. So as we continue to de-segue away from the movie and the other stuff, we do own a apparel company. We're still kind of getting things truly up and running, but it's called Copperline Apparel. You can find our products on Amazon now. It's a variety of, we've got hats, hoodies, some shirts. We've got a really cool flag that Jono designed, geared for telecom workers. We've got some cool shirts. A lot of cool stuff is going to come from it. But we tried some different formats. We're going to be selling mainly through Amazon now.
Yep.
But yeah, check out Copperline Apparel. As with everything with this podcast, we want your feedback on what we're talking about. If you got a cigar recommendation, a drink recommendation, but check out Copperline Apparel too. Give us some stuff there. We really like what we're doing. We like what we're putting together, but we're here to have some fun. But
And if you're a cable guy and you listen to the podcast and you buy some Copperline stuff, let us know that you're a cable guy. Maybe we'll give shout outs to
for sure.
fellow telecom
But
folks.
anyways, I'm going to segue back to what I was talking
Yes.
about. So,
Hedwig Ava Maria
yes.
Keisler
So
Lamar.
she is
Jesus.
one of the coolest people you could ever read about. And what I
Very
love
pretty.
about it from a telecom perspective is that she was just a golden age actress. She's just an actress. No training, no formal post education, anything. I forget the country she was from. It was Eastern European. You've got to pull it up there. Austria-Hungary. So she was from Austria-Hungary. She was married to an arms manufacturer there originally. That was one of her first marriages. She would actually join him on arms deals, which is pretty badass for the 1930s when they were married, or early 40s.
Should I read a quick list? Not to interrupt you. I'm
Yeah,
so
go right
sorry.
ahead.
She was married to Fritz Mandel,
That's the arms manufacturer.
Gene Markey,
Yeah,
John Loader,
yeah. It was
Teddy Stauffer,
it was 3 years.
W. Howard Lee.
Everybody was 3 years.
Louis J. Boys.
It was legitimately every 3 years she got remarried. It's hilarious. But the Fritz
last guy
but
was
the
a rapper.
but the Fritz guy was a Chance the Rapper.
J. Boys.
But Fritz was an arms manufacturer, and she would join him on arms deals, which sounds super cool but scary at the same time. One of the things that she recognized when she was on these deals was the fact that when you had things like torpedoes and stuff, there was concerns with how do you track them, and also how do you guide them. So when she was made it to Hollywood, she worked with a composer, and this was around the World War II time, and they actually developed the concept of frequency alteration just because, which actually became the framework for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS. So it's really cool that in their efforts to help in like missile torpedo guidance, they actually developed the framework for what would become Wi-Fi and GPS and Bluetooth. Like, it's pretty crazy that this golden age actress and this composer that she worked with, like, they basically created what could be argued as potentially the most impactful technology that we utilize today, or at least one of. And it's super cool because, I mean, this is just, and I think it speaks to the power of people. If you have a good idea or a good concept, like, run with it. Because this lady was just an actress who's now in the Inventors Hall of Fame because they developed a concept that, is utilized throughout the world in so many applications.
She also invented a tablet that would dissolve in water to create a flavored carbonated
Isn't that cool?
drink.
Isn't that pretty cool? I mean, it's funny because, I mean, think about it, I've got like a whole box of stuff in the house for the kids, which is like the different flavorings and different stuff like that. But like, yeah, like this is, again, some golden age who just, I mean, you think about the difference there though. A tablet that creates a carbonated flavored beverage and Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi. So next time you're like in the bathroom and you're drinking your fizzy drink and you're trying to crank one out, but you don't want your wife to hear you, or like, hear your website, your phone's connected to Wi-Fi thanks to Hedy Lamarr.
It's Headley.
Headley.
And your Bluetooth headphone that's in your ear so that only you can hear the website thanks to Wait, I thought she was Hetty.
It's the joke of the movie, man.
Good. I was just making sure.
The whole movie, they say Hetty, and
sure.
it's Headley. It is? It's great.
But she was named after the owl from Harry Potter. Fun fact.
That's pretty cool.
I guess the owl was named after
It was
her.
Hedwig, but no, Harry Potter.
Hedwig?
Oh, yeah, Hedwig.
Her real name is Hedwig Ava Maria Keisler.
So the owl would have been named after her because Harry Potter was fool.
Yeah, that was another bad joke.
Now, if you were talking about like Lord of the Rings, I can't remember when Tolkien wrote that stuff, but that was, I want to say 50s. Or was it older than that?
I don't know.
I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings person, so I don't know.
Talking about the books?
Yeah.
Which, a little more background on us is we're all movie people. Different levels. Paul is probably the all-star. He is a quote fucking encyclopedia. I'm just my background is mainly horror. Like, I love horror.
Well, that's where this idea originally came from.
Yeah.
We talked about doing a horror-based podcast. I'm not typically a horror guy, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. And then we just started talking about, well, let's do a movie thing, and we got
that way we all have interest. I was worried that you guys would have to be shoehorned into watching horror movies and just not enjoy it.
Webby and I'll just watch them together, and we'll cuddle up on the inflatable couch.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to show you. I got a new couch yesterday.
Oh, it's nice.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty nice.
It's a sectional.
The best part is Frank already she has her section now that's blocked off. It's got 2 arms, so like he can't even touch her.
So I was wondering if we were going to do this on Saturday, if we were going to have to do it inside watching football at the same time.
Well, tomorrow's gonna be too windy and stuff. I mean, the good thing we're not outside. So
is it true that this snow coming is going to be like the blizzard of '96?
No, they're calling for it's going to be a couple inches next week.
No, it ain't.
It's not here. It's going to be that bad. I mean,
Buffalo. They're talking about moving the game already.
No, I love that.
They're talking about moving it to Cleveland. Yeah.
But anyway, so
more background.
Well, I was gonna say what Webby's talking about Buffalo. So Webby's he's from the Buffalo area, not from Buffalo itself, but from outside of it. Western New York. He's a huge Bills fan. He's got his Bills hoodie on right now. I'm an Eagles fan. I live in Pennsylvania. I was born and raised in Northern Maryland, but I'm an Eagles fan. Jono's he says he's a Steelers fan. He owns a Steelers jersey. He knows who Mike Tomlin is. I think that's about the extent of it, though.
So here's what helps even more. I keep saying Frank. Her name's Frances. That's the wife. She was at a Goodwill, and she was like, I found a Steelers jersey, and it's like $7, and it's like an authentic one, but the last name's Brown. I was like, I don't know. Fucking buy it.
You didn't even know who it was.
Brown.
Just buy it. I don't know.
So, but that ended up being who was the guy?
AJ Brown.
Is
or not AJ Brown, but Antonio Brown.
Yeah, the douchebag.
Yeah, Antonio Brown.
He like
if
painted
talk
his
football,
helmet.
I could be down my wheel.
Join us next week on Stogies and Sports.
I actually was debating on wearing my Chris Gardocki jersey.
The who?
Chris Gardocki.
Oh.
Chris Gardocki, he was a punter. He was a punter for a bunch of teams. He was with the Colts, with the Steelers. I have his jersey from when he was with the Steelers. And I have a friend who was like obsessed with football jerseys. He owned like hundreds of them.
Such an expensive.
Well, it was, and he would do replicas. Eventually, started doing all authentics. I'm like, dude, you're insane. But we would go to some games. Like we went to Minnesota for a Packers Vikings game. We did some cool stuff. I would buy jerseys occasionally. I liked getting the abstract jerseys, just because I thought it was more fun. So like when we went to Minnesota, I bought a Jim Kleinsaucer jersey because his nickname was Jim Kleinsaucer. I loved the name. Yeah, he was like a tight end fullback kind of hybrid guy, but it was just hilarious. But I bought a Chris Gardocki jersey, super random punter, but you should like it though because he actually holds the record for most consecutive punts without a block. He actually had 1,177 consecutive punts without a single block.
Wow.
So take that in the think about the concept of that.
You punt?
You punt 2-3 times a game, sometimes 4 or 5 times a game. So you think about it. In a season, you may punt anywhere from 50 to 80, 90 times. So you think about how many years he played without a block.
Yeah.
One, it's a testament to the teams he was on and the coverage and the blocking and the lines, but even his speed and accuracy. And he actually, I think, averaged like 45, 40. He had a good average. So it wasn't even just like he was just getting it the heck out of there. Like,
oh, right.
So, but it was one of those things. And as soon as I knew that, he was on the Steelers when I learned about the record. I think that's where it was the last time he played
Iron
for.
Curtain.
And it was just one of those amazing stats that was just like, that's a record that I don't know if would ever be broken. It's so random, but
how could you really?
But like, I mean, so many failures that can happen. I mean, even just drops. I mean, think about, like, we're talking about the Buffalo game. It's supposed to be miserable, like a blizzard conditions. Like, who's handling a punt in that?
Yeah.
I mean, this game's going to remind me a lot of a few years back when they played against the Colts at home, and it was a snow game. That was when Tyrod Taylor, I think, was the quarterback. I think, but they were like literally snow blowing the lines off. So they knew where the lines and stuff were.
This is back when the Bills were good.
Yeah, exactly.
We should do. What was the movie with not John Carter?
You're thinking about The Replacements?
John Wick. Yeah,
The Replacements is a good one. I love that.
We should watch that.
We should do that as one of our movies upcoming.
We have a list of movies.
Yeah, but we haven't even finished this movie though.
Oh yeah, so
like we keep segueing away from it, but
we got to talk about the bad.
Well, so I do want to talk about one more character first, though. We've talked about a bunch of characters,
Am I smoking my cigar way faster?
You always smoke.
We got to talk about the cigars.
You do smoke your cigars a lot faster than we do.
I think you have a little bit more sucking.
He does. He enjoys that a lot more than most people do. But obviously we've talked about Cleavon Little. We talked about Gene Wilder. We've talked about Harvey Korman a little bit. Mel Brooks is always hilarious, and he plays so many different roles.
Yep.
Madeline Kahn, I thought, was great for Lily von Stupp, though, too. Like,
so she was the sultry singer lady.
Yeah.
I mean, how else do you...
And she, I think the way that she deadpan stuff is what makes it so good.
You mean you could understand her, like, until maybe after 2 sentences later? Like some of the vocabulary,
very dry and
Oh
yeah, because she was like a wascally wabbit kind of voice.
Yeah. Like you're like,
Twoo, it's
what did she just say?
Would you like another snitching grouping?
Oh my God, Great Graham really was a whore.
That was actually a really horrible German accent, is what that was, right?
Yes. We need
nice beer fest reference. Yeah. Nice.
This is all we do. This is a main reason why we chose to do this podcast.
Because we love movies.
We constantly just fucking quote movies.
But Madeline Kahn was great in it, and obviously it wouldn't be the last time her and Gene Wilder worked with Mel Brooks, because they were both, of course, in Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Remember she played his fiance, girlfriend, whatever.
Doing that one next?
Oh, that's right.
We've been talking about that a lot. Are we doing that one next?
Well, I think we'll think about it before the end, but
we'll take a break.
Yeah, but Madeline Kahn was a great. I loved her character. She was hilarious. And I was telling Jono earlier, because a lot of people don't realize it, but it was a funny throwback to. So one of Mel Brooks's movies prior to this was The Producers, and in The Producers, the goal is that they're kind of conning people with with Springtime for Hitler is the play that they're putting on. And on one of the playbills at the theater for Madeline Kahn's show is Springtime for Hitler. So it's funny because it's a play back to a prior Mel Brooks movie and a play that never actually gets created, but it's also just funny because it's also, you know, you're talking the 1800s and there's a Springtime for Hitler playbill at the thing. But
then Hitler,
and then Hitler, well, so
it was literally an actor playing Hitler.
Yeah,
that was the whole point.
Right.
But we won't get there.
No, we'll go to the end.
Okay.
So the
I didn't
one,
want to cut you off.
Well, I mean, so obviously we love the movie. We love the actors.
Yes.
We love the characters. We love the plot is funny. It's got great stuff. I mean, the fact that everybody in the town's name is Johnson is hilarious. You know, it's great. Right. You know, that beautiful speech by Gabby Johnson. I'm especially happy that these young school children were here. You know, it's just great. I mean, all the characters are great.
If you're not comfortable with the N-word,
yes,
that's not a movie.
Yeah,
for
don't
you.
watch it if you're not comfortable with it. They do throw it up. Remember, it was made in the early 70s. You know, it was a different time.
Yes,
it's a funny movie though. It's a good concept. You know, at the end of the movie, of course, they're very accepting, but it is a hard pill to swallow if you're not happy with that. But I think the one thing that we all universally aren't, at least Jono and I don't, we hadn't talked about it too much, but the ending's funny, but it was a bit odd. It
was a lot like Monty Python Holy Grail.
Kind of,
like,
yeah, almost.
Like the same.
It was because so the end of it, as they're battling it out for the you know, to save this town, it's that comicalness because the film, it was filmed, I forget where it was filmed off location, but it was filmed largely on the Warner Brothers studio lot, as most movies are. And so as they're fighting, they spill over into the actual Warner Brothers studio lot.
Very meta. Very meta.
Yeah. So, you know, they end up onto another movie set where they're doing a musical, which Dom DeLuise is the director of that, and it's hilarious. They end up in the commissary, which is where Hitler's sitting down to eat, and it's just funny because what do they say to him there?
He like sits down like it's a dude playing Hitler, and they're like, "Oh, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh, well, I'm out of the movie after the bunker scene."
Yeah, they lose me after the bunker scene. It is funny because it's just it's that hilarity of it though, but. I do like though where he runs into the movie theater though, and then he's like watching on the screen and sees them ride up on their horses like outside of it, and then he runs outside, and then they go in and like, let's see how this ends, and they walk in there and they kick their feet up and start watching it because it's funny because then I don't know if you catch it. So when Bart and Waco Kid when they're sitting down in the theater watching the end of it, and it cuts to the clip, and then it shows them back in the town. When he's sitting outside, he's actually sitting there holding movie theater popcorn.
Yes.
Forgot about that.
And then it's funny because then they ride off and get in a limo.
Yeah, they were right off set, and they were like actually in the streets of Hollywood.
But I didn't love that. The way it spilled over was funny, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was like you said, it was very reminiscent of kind of how Monty Python ended. But I don't know. I didn't absolutely love the ending. It had some funny moments to it. Like I said, Don DeLuise's character was hilarious in there in that musical scene.
I thought Mel Brooks was dead, but apparently he's still alive.
Well, no, because
97.
Yeah, because they just started. So History of the World Part 1 was one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolute favorite movies.
Did they ever make a? They didn't make a part
that's what's 2. Funny. They made that without really the intention of ever making a part 2.
Jesus.
But he recently did. It's on. I want to say Hulu. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu, but they actually released a TV series, and it was part 2. So it's got a lot of common actors and stuff in it, and it kind of follows the same premise, where they just kind of cut the different. It's more comical reenacting of different things through history.
Yeah, Hulu.
But he came back and did that. Mel Brooks is still very much alive.
So I was looking up. I thought he was dead because I didn't want to badmouth him because he's clearly a genius.
Oh yeah.
But I wonder, is that lazy writing how they ended it?
I don't think so.
Or is that so, 3D, 4D chess?
Well, I think that's really probably what it more so was, especially at the time period though. I mean, at the time period, like, you didn't really.
We're so used to meta shit now.
Like you didn't really play into that kind of stuff that much then. So I think the kind of to kind of go down that rabbit hole was kind of fun. I like the way, like I said, that's why I do like the theater involvement, because then they're actually sitting down trying to watch the end of the movie that they're in.
Well, if you think about it, like the whole movie, like if you look at the outdoor scenes, it doesn't look or appear to be fake in any way. Like the outdoors look like the outdoors.
Yeah, exactly.
So when, in the end, when they actually do make it off the set and they're coming out of like a studio building and onto the main streets, it's like, oh, holy crap! They went from the west. Now they're
and especially because
they got cars driving around,
right? Especially because such a big, hilarious part of the movie is when they create a fake town.
I was just gonna.
So,
do you think the fake town was actually the town?
No,
like they actually made a fake town because they did shoot. I forget where I looked it up the other day. I forget where they shot, but I mean they did have an off-site location because I mean there are certain things you just can't fake. Right. But yeah, I do think that was kind of the hilarity of it because it was so meant to be the Wild West, but then it's actually just the back lot of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, you have to give Mel Brooks all the credit in the world because it's writing, directing, producing, playing multiple roles, but then to the fact that he writes most of the music. He's writing the word, the lyric. I mean, I think that's what I always appreciated about him is that he was someone that really was able to take what you would see on in as like a play. When you would go to the theater and watch, he was able to take that stuff and translate it onto a movie screen in such a great way, because that's always one of the biggest difficulties you see with any movie that's originally a play and then put into the theaters. It's always so hard. I mean, look at something like Cats. Like Cats got just panned badly for how poorly done it was. But he did it in such a marvelous way. Because he really is just an absolute genius in every way. I mean, I don't think you're not gonna find people that can do what he does.
I was trying to look up what he did in the Army because I thought I had heard that he was like a writer for the Army.
I can't remember what it was.
Oh, Jesus. He was in a battalion that had to clear out booby-trapped buildings. Brooks was tasked with landmine location. Defusing was done by a specialist. Brooks,
so he was actually like legit.
World War II?
Like legit, yeah.
Wow.
Golly.
God, you got to love him. I mean, I just think you have to. I mean, you have to. I mean, if there's not at least a Mel Brooks movie out there that you don't find funny, because he's got such an eclectic mix of movies too.
They're very...
I mean, it's great. I mean, he spoofs westerns, he spoofs horror movies, he spoofs like Robin Hood, when he's Robin Men in Tights.
God, Men in Tights is so fucking good.
It's a great movie. I mean, but then then he goes back to Dracula and spoofs Dracula, but then but then it's just, and then he's done so many other things, but it's just. I mean, and The Producers will always be probably one of the best movies ever. I mean, even the remake, the remake with Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane was a good movie.
And Will Ferrell, didn't he play?
Will Ferrell did. He played the guy playing the Nazi.
I don't think I've seen the Mel Brooks one. I think I've only.
You've never seen the original one?
Yeah.
The original. It's good. It's good. But even that was one of the ones where the remake actually was pretty good. Like Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane are always a good combination. But that was
Matthew Broderick.
I just saw
Thanks for ruining Godzilla.
What? I just saw that movie, or movie on Netflix with Matthew Broderick. The one with Jennifer Lawrence. And if you haven't seen...
Matthew Broderick and Jennifer Lawrence?
It's called No Hard Feelings.
You always watch these random movies I've never heard of.
I'm a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence, and she's super hot in this movie.
Nice.
And if for some reason you got an hour and a half, watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got yelled at by Francis and a couple people because I was who's the chick that played Catwoman in the good Batmans with Christian Bale?
Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh, with Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm Anne Hathaway.
So I'm going to tell a secret.
Oh, Anne Hathaway, yeah.
I've only seen the first Batman with Christian Bale.
Oh, yeah?
I haven't watched the other ones.
They're good.
So Batman Begins,
whichever one, yeah.
You saw that one, and
I've
it's a trilogy.
I like superhero movies. I watch a lot of the Marvel stuff because of my son. It was funny because he liked Batman when he was little. I think he liked the concept of him, but he always kind of geared towards. he always geared towards Marvel though. I think more so.
A 5-year-old the concept of Batman.
Well, I mean, Batman. What do you think about? I mean, Batman is going to be. Well, I mean, he's he's a
Dad, I wish we were rich and
he
you
wishes
died.
we wrote it. He wishes we were rich and he had where did you get those marvelous toys?
Who's the producer of Oppenheimer?
I haven't watched that yet because it's just I want to, but it's like 3 hours long.
I actually own it.
I
You wanna borrow
can't.
it?
No, I just I'm sorry, but like I can't commit to a movie
it's a tough
that
movie, but it's worth the investment.
Well, see, that's the thing. I got to make sure I'm going to be awake for it because that is my biggest problem. Is if I'm not like fully like legit invested in this movie, I will watch something for 2 weeks.
All right, let's do this.
It will take me 2 weeks to watch a movie.
Let's do this. You got that little TV, right? Still?
Little TV.
Yeah, the one you brought to my house.
Smartphone. Oh. Yeah.
What, am I not speaking the right language?
No.
Small little
TV.
TV.
I was picturing like
No, that smart TV
7-inch
that you got, like that little 20-some inch.
Isn't that crazy? 32-inch is a little TV to us now.
Well, yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Golly.
So
a
what I'm
time to
thinking
live in.
is, bring
and it
out
identifies as a donkey.
here. Bring it out here. I'll bring my I'll bring my Xbox 5. I'll bring Oppenheimer. We'll sit here, watch the movie, smoke cigars, and drink some brandy.
So, can I be an ass? Okay, first off, it was directed by Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. Okay.
Who did the
So
Batmans.
he's the one that did the Batmans, is what I was trying to get at.
And the Weird
That-
Dream movie.
That's why that trilogy is probably the best Batman trilogy, because of Christopher Nolan.
I hated
Well done.
Oppenheimer.
You saw it and you didn't like it?
I couldn't even finish it. Like
Really?
7 hours into it, I was like, Jesus Christ!
Like
What'd you watch, the extended version?
yeah,
like-
it just
like the guy invented some stuff, right? Like okay, that's all we need to know.
Okay, so if you're not into history, it probably won't be for you. But
which
if you,
I am.
I
if
love
you,
history.
If you look into it,
and I have a crush on Cillian Murphy.
If you look at it as like a documentary on steroids, that's basically what that movie was. It was an educational piece that you had to pay attention to. You couldn't like doze off and catch up, later on in the movie. You had to watch it, and it's sort of kind of like a history lesson. Basically how the whole Manhattan Project was.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably never going to watch that movie.
It was tough. It was because I love movies like I love basically reenactments of history, like the Tetris movie, the Game Boy movie, the BlackBerry cell phone research and motion movie. Like these are super low budget movies.
Really?
But I thought they were great. I love movies like that. But
Did you watch Pixels?
So I'm the same way. Like I love
80s throwback movie.
I love history movies. I'm sorry, but just the pills I have to swallow is the 3 hours. Like maybe if I broke it up and found a good way to do it, I have a hard time committing to that because like for me, when I sit down to watch something, is usually in the evening at the end of the day because by the time I'm done with the day and the kids and everything, it's usually sitting down at night, and so it's hard. Like it was funny. At one point, I think it took me 4 nights to get more than 10 minutes into a certain movie. Like I would turn it on, and at that point,
you
I've
definitely
had that.
can't be near
Anywheres.
bedtime. Like you know what I
New
mean?
York.
Like you can't start watching
All
at
right.
8:00 at night.
maybe we'll
And-
plan.
What in the tarnation was that?
You can't expect to be like work a full day outdoors, and then come home, eat a big dinner, and then sit down and watch the movie. You will fall asleep.
All right. Well, football
100%.
season's about to be over soon, so maybe we'll plan a day once football's over.
We're
if
halfway
we're-
through hockey season. Go Devils!
But if we're out here in the cold, we got the big 32-inch.
There's its brother. It's the same exact thing, but
shit, I didn't even notice
it
that.
fucking
There you
died.
go.
Maybe we'll.
Oh, it
I gotta get a new TV.
maybe I say maybe we'll put a new TV up there. Maybe we can like play some of the movies and stuff
Yeah.
while we talk about them. But
It might
Or we
even
could
be
just
worth
pay
putting
clips.
a camera up in that corner and
recording
just
it.
kind of recording.
so
it.
the
Maybe if I
best. So
cleaned up the shed.
the best part about it is
No, I like it.
So
this
when
way.
we talk
I like
about
the rustic appeal.
But when we talk about we're in the so some concepts. So we're as we mentioned we're in West Virginia. We're up in the mountain here. The best part is we've done some different setups for podcasts. We've tried a few different concepts in the past, and we've done it at Webby's house. We've done it inside an office space in Jono's house. We decided that for this one, we're going to use Jono's shed.
Brilliant.
So I absolutely
Brilliant.
love this. Is my favorite space that we've ever used. We are sitting. Our table is a cable spool that we retrofitted into a table. I've got a workbench behind me. Webby's got drills and saws behind him.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, actually.
Very dangerous.
It's actually like we
At
could
your
we
own
could do
risk.
two things in here. We could record a podcast, or we could build a shelf.
Yep.
Like we
Yes.
can do different things in here, or we've got a weight bench that
Or we
probably has
got a
never been
welder.
used besides some like.
It was being used.
Well, hold on. You're in West Virginia though. Unless it's in like the driveway, it's and you got a wife beater
Or New
on. It's
Jersey.
just not right. Man, we need Chad to come back from Florida. We'll gel your hair up. We'll throw a gold chain on you and a wife, and then you'll go out there and we'll lift some free weights.
I got that from Chad too.
So I mean, the best part is though, it's funny that we're out. I mean, because this is to me like this is the best space.
Are
we've
you
had.
guys?
I love
I
it.
cracked the door
No, I'm
because it
good.
was getting a little smoky.
I'm good.
Are you guys
I'm
warm
good.
enough?
I'm comfortable, man. I love this.
Nice, awesome.
This is a great
can
space.
ash on the
It's
floor
fun.
and-
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a crap?
Nice.
It's only your
So,
shit.
come springtime, I'm going to build a shed
Hell
in
yeah.
my backyard. So,
Hell
not
yeah.
as big as this, of course, but
We're not using your shed. We're using the shed here in the mountains. We're not going to use your little townhouse bougie shed.
It'll be
come
really.
on,
it'll,
man.
It'll
gonna
probably
be,
have.
It's
Like,
going to be a
Christmas
he
lights
shed,
and-
man. It's
It'd
going
be
to
a
have a
he
fridge.
shed.
It's going to have a fridge out there.
You could put all sorts of
I'm going
beer.
to put
I
like
mean,
I'm going to put a little wet bar out there.
Candy bars. And
I'm gonna put a window so that way we're out at the campfire.
There's windows. They're just boarded up. There's just plywood over them.
that one.
He had to board the hole up. He didn't board the hole
there
up
is
there though.
windows. Oh,
I need
shit.
to.
One day we're going to be in here. There's going to be a bird flopping around.
There's
Thankfully, we
actu-
don't hear the chickens. So.
There is a snake that lives in there, and the asbestos insulation is falling out of the wall.
That's all right.
Oh, nice. That's
I didn't build this. The very eclectic lady that owned the
Nah,
house
I
before
love
me
it. This
built
is this is the epitome.
I mean, come
of-
on. I mean, what do you think he was thinking about when he built that little frame outside the frame?
dude. So
That is funny.
Like
That is funny.
That's artwork at its finest.
Yeah, we'll have to take a few pictures of the setup here
Yes.
so people have some reference, and maybe we'll do a camera. Maybe we'll YouTube
I think
this or
it's
something.
kind of cool.
and
be
the
kinda
electrical.
cool.
You got to wonder.
My-
You can see us. Only thing we have to do though is if we're gonna keep doing this, Webby, you got to grow a beard, man.
We
I
all
don't
got
think I can
beards.
do it, man.
I think you can.
Think so?
I think you can.
Do it,
It's gonna be great as fuck.
So
dude.
who cares?
You're
women,
a grandpa
women
now.
love that. Women love it.
Be Santa.
The
In
one
a good
thing,
way.
dude. So I'm gonna tell you what.
It's El,
So-
it's El Padre. It's
So
not
I'm
Grandpa.
gonna tell you, nothing helps me more in my dating life than the little bit of gray I got in my beard and the beard. Women love the beard.
They like to pull.
They love the beard.
Francis,
you have-
pulls my
You
grays
keep
out.
it
but
clean,
she's-
keep it groomed, make sure it's washed. As long as it's a neat beard,
Don't look like mine.
don't look like a bum, but a well groomed beard.
You know how
I mean,
long
it's
it'll take me to grow it? Like,
honestly not that
Let it-
long.
Let it go.
You would be
Just-
surprised
just
when
don't
I
touch it.
first started, because I've always had a beard. I've always had something.
Yep.
When I first started growing it longer, it didn't take me more than a couple of months to get like a comfortable length to it. And ever since then, at this point, I'm pretty much told by everybody is don't shave it off.
No,
You're
it
not
looks
allowed.
It looks
to.
good. It's
It does look
very.
good.
You're not
shaped.
actually. I got it this afternoon. I'm going to get it trimmed up a little bit
Nice.
because I do go to a barber. I don't like trimming it myself,
Yeah, I got it.
and I have
I could do like
I have a great barber. I'll plug him, Alex Ivan Barbershop in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Him and his wife are awesome. They're
might
so
have to go
nice,
there.
and they do an amazing job. I love it. My son goes there for his haircuts occasionally. He loves them. Great barbershop, but I think it's going to a good barber. I think is good. I mean, you can trim it yourself if you're comfortable, but if you're not comfortable or you're worried about it, by all means, go do it. But
Beards are very difficult.
Man, there used to be. I mean, I wish he was still there because he was a great barber in Shepherdstown. But he also had a cigar shop, place that he smoked in the back.
We're gonna talk later about buying a couple sea containers and making a cigar lounge.
Really?
Yeah, that might have to be some. There are none. You've just got a bunch of fucking.
you
head
are
shops.
right. You are right. But that's that business idea like number 8,000
I
for
know.
us. So
Speaking of business and cigars, so this is called Stories and Stogies. So we started off the episode with what are these? The Perdomo Champagnes.
it's good. I like it. It's got a good taste to it.
does.
It's
seems to be
not.
smoking. It's smoking very.
It is.
Smooth. It's not.
It's not too harsh. I think it's kind of which I like. I like that it's not too harsh. it's not like the other ones. It's not very sweet. Which those other ones we did the factory smokes. Those were that was really good, very sweet. But this is kind of mild. I do like
very
that.
Well.
It
pairs very well.
Yeah.
With the...
Oh, definitely. I mean, anything goes well with this whiskey.
It's true.
I'm sorry. The only thing I regret is I didn't buy. So this is the very rare.
Are there sugar cubes?
Which is no, it's they're stones.
Oh, like stones.
They're stones.
Yeah,
So I got two in Webb. He's got two in here. Stones are the way to go. When if you're gonna ice your whiskey, don't ice it. Get yourself some good stones. You put them in a freezer. You let them freeze. You put them in your whiskey. That way, it keeps your whiskey a little. If you like your whiskey, a little chilled, it keeps it chilled, but it doesn't water it down.
Right.
Stones is the way to go. They're easy to get. They're cheap. They work.
They're outside.
But this is the very they are. You could just grab some from outside if you really want to. But this is the very rare. But they had a it was I forget what it was called. It was very rare, but it was something. It was more rare.
More rare.
More rare. I'm trying to remember the exact name, but that was really good. That was a very expensive bottle of whiskey. There was only 2 places in Ireland you could get that bottle, and there was a whiskey. There was a shop in Dublin you could get it at, and then where I first tasted this at, which I love it. I was in the keep at Kilkea Castle. They actually were able to get bottles of it.
Nice.
So it was hard. You couldn't really get a lot of it, but I tried the really expensive one, and that was, oh my God, that was just that. You thought this was smooth. It was amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. But it was just for the price and having to bring it home. I just didn't want to risk it. I did not want to take that risk. So I got this one and said, this is the first time I've opened this. So I figured this was a good celebration. You want to drink something good. I will definitely, for me, Irish whiskey. If you're going to go whiskey, Irish whiskey is the way to go. I find it. I'm definitely a whiskey, I'm not so much a Scotch guy. I don't like the smokiness of Scotch. But
as we puff on smoky cigars.
as we smoke cigars, but that's the difference. That's the funny thing that people don't really understand is like Scotch and whiskey are very similar, but it's the way that they make it. So with Scotch, they smoke the leaves, and they did that when alcohol was outlawed through much of the United Kingdom and Ireland. The way that they would basically do, USA. So they would basically home brew it. They backyard brew it, and smoking the tobacco leaves was a faster process. So you could make it a lot faster that way, but it obviously altered the taste. And so Scotch typically has that, and you can get that through whiskey when you like a peated whiskey. So peated is one of those ones.
Like peat moss?
You don't drink whiskey, but if you drink whiskey, peated is a specialized taste. It's out of 100 people, 2 people will drink peated. It is strong. I'm not a fan of it. My brother actually likes it though. Which I thought was funny. I was talking to him about it, and he's like, I like peated. I was like, I don't like peated. I'm not as much of a guy, but like good, just Irish whiskey is nice. Amazing. This Dunville actually was one of the older distillers. They actually stopped making for a long time, and then they came back a bit ago and started making whiskey again, and it's nice. It's amazing.
What's the year on it?
18.
I mean, it's a 12-year.
12-year. Okay.
FX.
It's a 12-year.
Nice.
So 12-year. The distillery's in Belfast, but it's absolutely just delicious.
So there you go, Dunville. Well, you have to go to Ireland or
Ireland.
Skyreland.
I don't know if you can get it in the States. Any Dunville. I haven't looked because I had this bottle, and after this bottle, I didn't. I'm like, I'm not even gonna. If I can find this bottle, I will. I probably will, this will be my go-to. I mean, of course, there's a lot of Irish whiskey you can get here. Of course, most people drink a lot of Tennessee whiskey and a lot of more local stuff, but it's and it's if you like good drinks, you like good drinks. But I mean, the smoothness to it is key. I still think there was no greater experience though than sitting in a castle in Ireland drinking whiskey. Like that was just probably the
when
greatest.
Was the castle built?
Well, depends on that one. Oh God, when was?
You Googling it?
So
Well,
that's the best part is knowing. Like,
I can
the history.
vamp while you Google it.
if you want to look it up, Kilkea Castle was
Jesus Christ. How do
so
you spell that?
Kilkea. So Kilkea Castle that's where the castle we stayed in. It was so cool. I mean, we went to Wales first and went to visit a bunch of castles. That was the castle we stayed in that one. We stayed in some in
2017.
How far from the Netherlands?
2017. What?
How far from the Netherlands?
From which?
Why was it built?
Because my mom just came back from a Viking cruise.
Well, I was in the Netherlands first. Remember, we stopped in Amsterdam first. So we went to Amsterdam.
She went to Amsterdam too.
Amsterdam was cool. And I loved Amsterdam. It wasn't what it's funny. It is what you think it is after dark, but like during the day, beautiful city, absolutely beautiful. It was
my mom, hey, did you go down to the red light district? And what's the red light district? Oh,
Did you see any whores?
Well, so the funny thing about the red light district though is so I mean, one, it's beautiful. The canals, everything is beautiful there.
Yeah.
Even the red light district during the day is actually very family friendly.
Yeah.
A lot of the window stuff is usually more alleys now because actually the government there is actually trying to get rid of a lot of that, which is funny because that's why I mean, if you go to Amsterdam, you're typically going there for the extracurriculars, we'll say. I wasn't there for that. I wasn't gonna, and it's just a lot of stuff. Like
Was there a lot of a JJ on?
I mean,
site?
I wasn't there.
I wasn't. I wasn't there to partake. I was just there to enjoy the city itself.
You have to be careful what he says.
Well, just because I didn't smoke. I didn't participate in other things. It was just beautiful to
You
see.
didn't smoke?
No,
Dude, it's just cigars in the
Isn't
not.
that like-
I did buy cigars there though.
How fucking expensive?
Not at all.
Really? All I hear is like the taxes are ridiculous out there.
No, actually, the cigar shop I went into was because I went into a cigar shop that was actually right down the road. It starts with an R. The Raj Museum. I can't remember the full name. It's a beautiful museum. It's like the museum district. It's like it's where all the big stuff is. Like the Van Gogh's right there. It's not far from the Anne Frank house, but that whole museum district.
The little Jewish girl.
Yeah. So that district, there was a cigar shop there.
No, the cat house.
But that's where I went and bought a couple cigars there though, and it was a beautiful cigar shop, very knowledgeable. It was what you want from a cigar shop. Like that's what they did. It was cigars. You go into the really nice room. The guy was super knowledgeable. They had a lounge in there. And actually it was funny because when I was there, a guy came in just to buy cigarettes and he was actually a little bit perturbed. He's like, let me go help this cancer guy. And it was kind of funny, the nomenclature, because I mean, they do take smoking very seriously there. Like if you go to buy cigarettes, like all their cigarette packages have pictures of like cancer. It's like they really don't encourage it, but cigars are viewed much more highly.
We'll
talk about that one day.
Studies, yes.
But prices were great. I think I bought 3 pretty decent cigars.
Were they ones you find commonly in America?
You could. They weren't like super rare, but I think I only paid like 35 euros or so, which is a little more than $40. For the 3, it was, and I wasn't super selective. I didn't go with the bottom of it, but I bought 3 really, but they were good, which was great because I mean we stayed in this really nice hotel, but it was right next to this one big park. So I would just go and at the end of each night I would just go walk out and just sit at the park and just smoke my cigar. It was great. But Amsterdam was a beautiful city. Then we went to Wales, traveled around Wales, which was beautiful. Went to a bunch of different castles in Chateau, but Ireland was. No greater experience was just sitting in Ireland, sitting at the castle,
which was built in 1180.
Yeah, 1180. So sitting in this castle, built in 1180, just drinking whiskey, talking with the folks there. It was just absolutely I think it's one of those things where if I could do anything for the rest of my life, it would be go back, sit at that bar.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Talk with those folks. There was a guy. It was perfect. The first night there was a guy who was retired. He was on like the board for the castle, but he would just come there every couple of nights. He would just sit and drink tea. But I just sat and had this great conversation with this old Irishman, and we would talk about whiskey. We would talk about just stuff, and it was surreal, absolutely surreal.
Did they have the accent?
Oh, of course, everybody had the accent. Of course, they did.
I love
Of course
the
they
Irish
did. I mean, it was great. I mean, we're in a where we were at. We were
Lucky Charms.
we stayed.
Magically,
The biggest
trying to get me
but the
Lucky
biggest goal was
Charms.
not to stay in.
Lucky Charms.
Well, the biggest goal though wasn't to stay somewhere super like we wasn't going to stay in Dublin. Wasn't going to go stay in like
the hot spots.
So we were about an hour outside of Dublin. We were where that castle is maybe 20 minutes from Kilkenny. But it was actually about 10 minutes from the Irish National Stud Farm, which was really cool. Yeah.
Nice.
like I found
My grandfather would have been proud of that one. Been like, you're at the stud farm, yeah. So my grandfather was. So I'm Italian by nature, but my grandfather was Irish, so he would have loved it. But it was great. But I brought home this amazing bottle of whiskey, and
Nice.
I think it kind of spoiled me on Irish whiskey being
Nectars
over there
of the
though,
gods.
And paired with it were our champagne. I'm just going to read a little gist about the Perdomo Champagne. They, I think these were 6x54 ring gauge. If you don't know cigars, just start learning. Hopefully you like cigars and you're listening to this. They are Connecticut wrapper with Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler. They're from Nicaragua. I'm getting all this info from cigarsdaily.com, which is where we're probably going to buy most of our stuff. Please sponsor us, Tim. But yeah, they're a mild to medium for being a Connecticut broadleaf cigar. They're strong, I would say. For Connecticut's are very like this. Here is a factory Drew Estates factory smokes Connecticut. You smoke this and it's you barely. Connecticut's are very light.
Yeah,
but they're good cigars.
I'd say
They're
definitely light to mid.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but they're good. They're good. They're good cigars. I like them.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot. It's very good.
So I guess we'll sandwich each episode with the cigars.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's got a good taste to it. It's not super strong.
You guys
very
retrohaled
mild.
at all? Retrohaled at all?
No.
Mm-mm.
See, I enjoy because I'm starting to get a bit of a palate, and when you do just that tiny little retrohale at the end, don't do the whole cigar. You'll burn your nose.
Yeah,
but you get a good taste. That's that retrohale is why I say it's a little stronger because with the other lighter Connecticut's, you don't even feel anything. But this will actually sting your
Is that
nose.
like the Karma Sutra of smoking a cigar?
It's
Karma.
Karma Sutra.
Karma Sutra. Is that the Karma Sutra of smoking cigars?
Is that like the tail sign of?
It's basically how you get more flavor. You just because it's out your nose. But I'm down to the nub. You guys are about halfway down. I puffed these way too fast, as we mentioned.
do. I mean, we noticed that the other night though. Well, I guess it was a little bit ago though. But I mean, I think we had smoked like 1 or 2, and you're like on like number 6.
Yeah,
I don't even. It's one of those like, are you even tasting it at this
I
point?
have no
I'm
vices.
wondering if you're compensating for something.
But if you are looking at getting into cigars, we'll make some recommendations. We're still learning ourselves. That's the beauty part about this. We are very much still learning and just trying to get into it. We enjoy it. It's for me, it's definitely like a nice kind of end of evening or social thing.
You called it a dessert once.
Kind of, yeah. Like to me, it's like it's a good way to end the day or wind down every once in a while. I mean, every once in a while I'll smoke one during the day, but it's not, I'm not, or sometimes I'll kind of carry one around or kind of put one in my mouth just kind of for a little bit of flavor, but
not even light it.
Sometimes, no.
Because that's what
sometimes a little bit, like just depending on the cigar, like especially like the Drew Estate ones, like the Java ones and stuff, like those just had a good taste to them. But I mean, they were beautiful. We'll talk about those one time. But if you don't,
that might be on our list.
It might be. But if you don't smoke cigars, a big part is trial and error. Is learn what you like. It's hard to, even if you walk into a cigar shop, they'll give you some recommendations. But I'll give you. It was one of the funniest parts. So when I was I'm going to revert back to when I was in Europe because it was still the greatest time of my life. But no, it was funny. So I was in Cardiff, and the weekend I was in Cardiff was their Pride weekend. So a lot of stuff going on downtown, which was
Country Pride or American Pride. Like wink, wink.
LGBTQ Pride, which was, it was fun to see. I love people watching. It was a blast. So much going on. I was standing outside the hotel, and I was just smoking a cigar, and I was almost done with it. And this guy came up, and he's like, "Can I have some of that?" I'm like, "Well, you can just have the rest of it. I'm not going to
cigar."
Yeah, I'm not going to share a cigar with some random guy on the street. But I'm like, I was almost done with it. Only a couple puffs left, and he was like, "Yeah, you can have it." First thing he did was inhale it. So then he's hacking up.
You do not inhale
you-
cigars.
Big unlike cigarettes and other things, you do not inhale. You pull the smoke into your mouth for the flavor, then you exhale. So that is one of the biggest differences between cigars and cigarettes. Obviously between just how they're made and a lot of the stuff that's in them, but you don't actually you don't inhale it. So that was one of the funniest. I mean, I kind of just laughed at him at that point. I mean, there's a whole other story to go along with that, but it was just,
you don't smoke it like a cigar.
but that's why I enjoy about it though, is that you're not getting some of that same negativity that you would from like a standard cigarette or something.
Cigars are cool, I think. Cigarettes are.
Plus, you find a good one though, and they've got a good smell to them. They can have a really good taste. As we've talked about with cigars though too, don't be hard pressed on the price. One of my like when we did those for you like those factory smokes, that was arguably one of the best cigars I've ever had. Nice. It was delicious, which is funny to say about a cigar, but it was awesome. Like we went and we had kind of like a late lunch, early dinner. Jono and his wife and I, and then we kind of stood outside. We smoked a cigar, and it was like the perfect after dinner, just delicious. And those are like $2 cigars.
Yeah. I brought a couple. I didn't know how quickly you guys would smoke, so I brought backups, and they're all factory smokes sitting on the table. That's fine.
But that's the biggest thing. Don't be hard pressed on price. Sometimes the cheap ones are really good. It's like a lot of stuff. Like you don't have to go, you can go and be like, oh, I want Monte Cristos. They're really popular. And you can go spend $250 on a box or even like 10 of them.
Fucking Webb, when we were picking the cigars, he texted us and I was like, oh, that's a $50 cigar.
And he's like, oh, is that bad? Like, well, honestly, it might be amazing, but we're obviously, I mean, we're none of us are.
I forgot who I was smoking with.
Well, we're not. None of us. Well, it's not even cheapos, but I mean, if I had the financial ability to smoke a $50 cigar on a daily basis, I absolutely would.
Dude, I would.
I think we should do that. Like,
we will
on a special occasion.
We will.
Like maybe on like the 20th episode.
Well, exactly.
Break out the cognac.
Mike.
The cognac.
Get on the mic.
The cognac.
No, get on the mic.
The cognac.
God damn.
On the mic.
What?
The cognac was wasn't that like $2,400?
Cognac? You talking about the whiskey? Yeah.
No, but that's why I brought this. I figured this whiskey would be a great celebratory.
He was the only one that got the reference.
He actually was saying cognac.
Is that a cigar?
He's saying he'll actually bring some cognac. And yes, we will. Everyone, but that's why like I bought this. Typically, I don't spend this much money on a bottle of whiskey. Like I usually will buy something kind of. Usually, like if it's $80, that's a lot to spend on whiskey. Like I usually keep it fairly low. Like I try to find something decent that's good priced because I just like anything, I will have a glass, a normal serve, and that's it. Like you don't.
I mean, what's a good normal, just off the shelf?
What's a
inexpensive?
So
but really good.
A great go to is like Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve is always a good go to. It's not very expensive. But that to me is usually like my go-to is a Woodford Reserve. That's. I
mean, is your Crown Royals more of a because I mean I enjoy a good like apple or a peach Crown Royal because it's a good sipping whiskey.
So
but
that's just like cigars. People poo-poo flavored stuff, but it's like if you like it,
if you like it, you go for it. I don't.
I like it because
that's when I mix. So if I go for a flavor, it's because I want to make them, and that's why I'll go with something cheaper because I want to mix with stuff and make a drink. So that's usually what I do if I do a flavor.
I was brought up where all our whiskey we were mixing it, like we were drinking 7 and 7. You know what I mean? Or Manhattans.
Well, I mean, I mean, my house was like my dad. I mean, my dad was a Jack guy. It was Jack and Coke. I grew up with my dad, and which is cool. If that's what you like, that's what you like.
I was never really introduced to just like savoring a good whiskey.
Well, and for a long time, I was kind of the same way. I never really was just like a sipping kind of a guy. I got into that.
Nor was I, but that's why I don't drink anymore.
And that's why he sucks down a cigar in 10 seconds.
Yeah, somebody just overcompensated at one point in time.
He overcompensates on everything.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't. He is definitely, I overcompensate more than anyone.
He is definitely an overachiever.
But no, that's but with whiskey, like that's why I kind of just over the last few years I got into just trying to appreciate what it was more. But it's like anything, like cigars, like anything, it can get expensive quick. But No, it's, you just got to find stuff that you like, especially cigars. Trial and error. Try anything and everything.
I've only had 2 cigars I didn't like. One of them I think Webb is going to love. It's the Drew Estate KFC, Kentucky Fire Cured. It tastes like you're smoking a barbecue.
I was going to say, if it tastes like Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'm in.
Well, they apparently, when they're fermenting the tobacco leaves, they like ferment it over fires or something. Don't quote me. But I smoked it and I didn't care for it. It was an odd taste, but it absolutely tasted like.
Yeah.
And here's food for thought. So when the weather gets warmer, and we want to do, like, say, barbecue, let's say campfire and stogies, we could do BBQ fire and stogies.
Yep. Yeah, we could do all sorts of stuff, but
mix it up a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, the short story is, though, these cigars are really good. They're really delicious.
Have you guys had to touch them up much? Like, not.
I have a little bit.
Start it, but did it canoe or burn on you?
No, it didn't really canoe. It more or less went out on me.
Yeah.
I think that's the speed though too.
Yeah,
like I'm smoking slowly, so I think I just
going because
So I think I've just been slow to it. So I think Webby and I both had to restart ours just because we smoked smoked slow.
It's been even.
It's burning great. Yeah, I haven't had to change that at all. So what was the cigar again, Jono?
This one was the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne.
Yeah. So delicious. It was good. Highly recommend. It was very good. Good.
And it's like $9, $10. It's sub $10,
which is great. I mean, I think that's a good kind of.
That's kind of average for a good cigar.
Are you talking about per?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a good nice cigar. Like you can go cheaper, you can go far more expensive, but that's kind of like a good, like if you want a nice, just kind of end of day, nice celebratory.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I enjoyed it. It was very mild, wasn't too strong, had a good smell to it. Yep. Good taste. I liked it a lot. Blazing Saddles. If you haven't watched it, we're sorry if we ruined anything for it. Watch it though. Fantastic.
Oh my God.
Fantastic
it's
movie.
truly a classic.
Top of my list.
Absolute classic. Yeah, absolutely one of my. I honestly, I don't even know why I didn't even think about that as a movie to do. I applaud you, Webby, for recommending this movie.
I was so happy.
So as we've talked, my name's Paul or Tony, whatever people know me as. Everyone knows me as something different. That's another story I'll get into at some point in time. I'm got
John or Jono,
or Jonna.
Or Jonna if you're family or friends or people that don't hate me.
And then we've got Weebly over here.
Weebly.
I'm Steve.
Weeby.
You want to go by
AKA
Steve?
Webb, Webby, Webber,
Weebly.
Webley, Weebla.
So before we sign off, we got to pick the next movie.
We do got to pick the next movie.
So just to run through, so the three of us each picked 3 movies, so that we can kind of have a lineup, and we don't have.
Go.
We don't have to match the cigars, but we have a list of cigars and all this stuff, and we're trying to keep track of the streaming service so that you can follow along.
Yeah,
Google it, assholes. So Webb went first, so we picked his Blazing Saddles. So it's between these 6, between Paul and myself: The Untouchables, Beverly Hills Cop, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Dread, not the one with Sylvester Stallone, but the one with the guy from that movie.
The guy from that movie.
The Thor movie.
Great. I'm so glad you said the guy from that movie.
What's his... He sounds like a country music star.
Oh, God.
The only other fucking Dread movie. Figure it out, people.
Figure it out.
Not you, yeah.
God, I'm pissed I don't remember his name.
Like Trent...
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, thank you.
Carl Urban. Not Keith Urban, Carl Urban.
Carl Urban. Batman 1989, so the Tim Burton,
Michael Keaton,
Michael Keaton one, and Meet the Parents. So it's between those 3.
So we just did more of a comedy western.
That's
style.
a good point.
So we'll I say we veer away from comedy, we veer away from.
Oh, I hope you say the one
western.
I like Beverly Hills Cop. I just saw that movie the other day, and honestly, when I was a kid watching that movie,
I loved it.
It was like I watched it over and over and over.
So I loved all of them. And they're
I
making
love
the series
Eddie
though,
Murphy.
too.
He's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's a comic genius.
Is that what you're getting excited about, or are you getting excited for Batman?
I love his.
Oh, I was hoping you guys would say Dread.
Dread,
just like a hard. hard like 180 from
And what
Mel Brooks.
platform is that one on?
That currently is on Netflix.
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'll whatever you guys want to do.
It's horror sci-fi act. Not so much horror.
Not so much
Gory.
gory.
It's gory sci-fi action.
That's because it showed all the stuff that Dredd didn't really show.
Dude, I fucking love
But
that.
Is it anything similar to the
No.
modern Dread? No.
This is the modern. This is the modern.
The Sly
Dredd.
Stone one.
You think it's
The
still
stone,
on?
yes.
Other than the costume, even the costumes.
Even the costumes are different. I mean, really, the general concept, sure, but outside of that, it's very different story.
It's dark. It's
When
by
was it made?
Lionsgate.
When was it made?
I didn't write that.
It was probably like 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh,
Probably like
so it's
the
it's not
teens,
that
2000
old.
teens.
So it was a remake of the.
It was a remake. It was kind of a remake,
Just another movie.
but I think it was just another one. Like it wasn't.
2012.
Yeah. So it was a few years old enough. I thought maybe,
So
but
they
yeah,
kind of
it was.
redid
Wow, that's
the Sylvester
22
Stallone.
years old. No. Math.
12.
12?
What?
12. I was gonna say 12.
Ooh.
Well, 12-ish. I mean, because my son will be 12 this year. So,
But golly, it's just so good because there's gore.
all right, we'll do.
It's-
All right, Jono's all about it. We'll
Oh,
do.
yeah,
We'll
sorry.
do Dredd.
I was selling
Okay,
that.
this
We'll do
is on
Dredd.
you.
All right,
Dredd
so
is
we're
on you.
gonna watch Dredd from 2012.
All right.
I'll probably make some funny references back to the original Dredd, just because you kind of have to
you
kind
have
of
to.
poke some fun
Yeah.
at the Stallone Rob Schneider Dredd.
Oh my god, I forgot he was in that.
I love when he's hiding in the room.
And what year was this?
2012 Dread.
All right, so the next one we're gonna watch Dredd. I don't know if we have a cigar. You have one you want to do?
I just wrote it down. The
Okay.
order's coming in.
Oh,
Next,
I got one.
the cigar for it.
Yeah.
Is it on the list of cigars we already bought?
No, probably not.
Does it have to be?
I just
You
ordered
know, when it comes to organization and planning, that's not him.
it. So I just
He's going off script. So Jono and I probably get. It's funny because I probably get more anal in my thoughts, but then he actually does it. Like we want to plan stuff, prepare
Anal?
stuff.
Wait a minute. Somebody said
like-
to me a couple weeks ago, "Oh, this is going to be a friendly get together, smoking cigars and talk about movies."
But then we
Like,
talked about at least having
Nobody talked about getting into analytics and like
I did.
perfection and
I
like,
think you did great.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, we all talked about. I think just listing out the cigars. And
Yeah,
the
we
movies
have a
so we
list
could-
of cigars.
But there's
Actually,
one
Paul.
on
I
the
still
list.
Okay,
gotta
what
get
do you
to
want to
the
do?
list.
What do you want to
There
do?
was one that I had.
What do you wanna
I
do?
want to do.
What do you wanna do?
I gotta look it up.
Well, see, you're not even prepared.
It's
though.
right here.
Ordered
It's
the
right
cigars
here.
for
I put it on the list. It's the the Rough Rider.
Oh,
actually, that's actually a good
I think
one
we need to watch a
because of
DMX movie though to smoke Rough Rider though. I think we need to watch a DMX movie for Rough Rider. See, he doesn't even understand it. Why he doesn't even understand? You know, he brought up
What
the
do you
Rough
mean?
Rider, and I start putting the lyrics of the song in there, and he's like, "What are you talking about?
What?
Stop.
Which one?
Drop, shut him down, open up shop."
He's from Buffalo.
He is from
saw his
Buffalo.
first
I
live
may
person,
have either
like,
heard that song and
30.
just don't remember it.
Come on, man, that's how the Rough Riders
I
roll.
don't listen to that.
I was
type
never
of
really
music.
into rap back in the 80s,
I've never been
90s.
really into rap either, but I mean, it's DMX.
I do know DMX. And give me
He knows who
some
DMX
credit.
is. He was in a movie
I
with
have probably-
Steven Seagal.
As a DJ, former DJ, I have probably played DMX. But I don't
As a former
some-
DJ, I
but
guarantee you've played DMX
sometimes
back in the day.
I don't like sit there and go, "Oh, let me listen to the lyrics all the way," because I'm constantly focused on.
It's the
next
main
song.
verse of the song, though.
Yeah, but I don't.
I don't know the
memorize
nuances of every song, but I mean, it's the
Do you
main.
know every song from Taylor Swift?
Yes.
I know.
Doesn't everyone?
I know. I have a 13-year-old daughter. I know at least
She probably
enough
does.
of them. I mean, she's been. I mean,
All right. So this is, if you don't know this already by now, memorizing is not my like.
he's the. If anyone doesn't,
Unless it's
if you
stats.
if you haven't picked
If
it up
it's-
yet,
if it's not
based on the age grouping, Webby is the oldest
Listen,
man in the group by
if
about a
it's-
decade.
If it's not
Youngest at heart, though.
if
probably.
it's
Youngest
not
at heart. Well, it's the birthday
useful
thing.
information, why record it?
Because it is useful information.
Maybe to you
It is very
for
useful.
your little tiny little like references.
Hey, you're doing a podcast. If you can't reference
It was a
random
text
nonsense,
message, for God's sake.
So,
I love you guys.
I love you too. I just wrote down, like, I matched the cigars that we picked with the movies that we individually picked. So, like, Rough Riders was just going to be with one of your movies, but that's not a bad.
That's
not a bad.
We
one
can do
for
it.
that.
We can do it. It actually
Yeah.
kind of fits
Yeah,
to some
'cause they
extent.
have
If
Yeah.
it doesn't
Likes.
fit, we'll pick it.
No, it works. It works.
Yeah.
I'm picking on you, Webb. You know that.
We ordered. I ordered them. They're coming. So we have. Well,
That's what she said.
did I? I don't think I ordered anything for you.
I didn't
said
tell you
don't
anything.
worry.
I'm gonna get some for me.
But like, are you going to order everything on the list?
I didn't give you anything on the list.
No, like of ours too. Like
Oh,
what?
What?
So like all 9 cigars.
yeah. I didn't.
I
I
just
can.
ordered for he and me.
I'll order some stuff.
Are you-
I just haven't ordered any. I haven't got anything yet because I'm gonna stop by the shop
Well-
in town. Because I actually, at least, unlike these guys, I actually at least have a cigar shop in my town.
Yeah.
God,
What do you mean? I
God
got a
bless.
cigar shop. I got like 3 of them.
They're
You have like tobacco.
yeah,
you have
they're
like
head
you have like
shops
you have
that
like.
a humidor
Actually-
Bovida packs.
Are they good?
Surprisingly, I did a install. Him and I did the install
That
at a cigar. It's a vape shop, but they got an actual.
they
room
have a
that's
humidor, but they
Well-
tried to charge me $12
Well, so that-
for a factory.
That
stop.
is the one thing that we
Like,
will say. So Jono's referenced it a few times though.
All right,
so
well, let's stick
if you
to the
if you
website.
want to get into cigars, by all means, go for it. When you first go buy some stuff, just try some things. Don't worry too much
Yeah.
about it. But if you have a cigar shop, like a legit cigar shop in
like
town,
a lounge.
like that place that's or just a place that's been established, they typically have someone that's very knowledgeable there. A lot of tobacco places or like vape shops, like they'll
Yeah.
sell cigars. They'll have humidor rooms because you have to store them with some form of humidity. You have to.
There's a whole
so-
thing to it.
There's a whole process. Like even for me, like I just bought I have a box and it's just a humidor box that I keep mine in. It could be something small and simple. You can get them pretty cheap, but a lot of places will have cigars, but they don't always have a lot of knowledge on the
Right.
said cigars. So if you can find a place near you that is knowledgeable, leverage that. But there's a ton of websites out there that you can go to watch the websites you use though too sometimes. Because some of them, like I ordered from one and they just shipped them as is. Like they were sealed and packaged, but no humidity factors to them at all. So if you get them quick, it's okay. But if you get them, look for ones that ship with at least a little humidity pouch in the packaging and stuff, because a cigar you want at all times kept between 60 and 70% humidity.
Yep.
If you can't maintain it there, it will dry out. Cigars will last forever. Even if they dry out, you can still smoke them, but they're going to deteriorate fast. They're not going to burn as clean. But it will. I mean, I actually had one the other day. I didn't realize had dried out as much as it had because I took it out to smoke it and I left it out for a bit. And I just kind of had it with me. So by the time I went to really smoke it, it smoked okay, but it was starting to unravel a little bit. And that's what happens when you let it dry out a bit. So,
And don't worry about money either, because I have like 2 acrylic jars, but I keep most of my cigar. You'll hear the term Tupper doors. I have a gallon Ziploc baggie, and you can buy things called Bovida packs, which they look like little tea bags, and they have a salt mixture in them that just keeps a relative humidity. So
so if you do that, that's
you
fine.
do not have to spend money.
No, you
Like,
don't. But even if you buy a small, like I think I paid like $30 for the box that I
Or
have.
you can get pretty.
And it's got a little humiditor thing in there. And I just have to put the solution in there every so often. It always stays above 60% though. I never have to worry too much about it. Yeah, I mean, definitely just make sure that do a little bit of research though. Make sure that you're finding flavors that you like, but try different stuff, all sorts of different types.
I like the website that had the sampler pack.
A lot of places have sampler pack. I'm going to keep referencing Cigars Daily. It's the guy.
Wink.
Well, I've used just cigars. I've used Cigars International.
Neptune cigars.
International's good, but they don't typically ship with the humidity stuff. So if you get them quick, it's fine. I've gotten some good ones from them.
Neptune cigars and Cigars Daily ship with everyone has a pack. The people, if you want to watch YouTube videos and even podcasts about it, Tim Swanson at Cigars Daily, I watch his YouTube videos. They're very good. We hope they sponsor us someday. That would be amazing. But like they're you can learn a lot from them, and they know a lot of people in the industry. Just do research.
And if we say something that's wrong, correct us.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like we're still learning, we're still figuring it out, and
right in at the Cable Connection podcast.
Oh Jesus, come on, man, we got to. Okay, so scratch that. We'll come up with a. We got to create because. So if you're interested, we had a podcast prior called the Cable Connection. It was because again we all met each other through telecom through cable. So the Cable Connection is another podcast we had out there.
Which that doesn't exist anymore because the site's down.
The episodes are still there.
Really?
Yeah, actually, I had a friend going. Well, when
the episodes are still
there? The past week or two, right before New Year.
Okay, they may not be that because she downloaded all of them and had been listening to them.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not sure if they're still there though. But if you find them, it was called the Cable Connection. It was more just us, just kind of like we are now, off the wall, talking about anything and everything.
But this is
but gosh, we got to at least rectify the Toy Story episode though. We
yeah,
I'll
put that'll be like a random special episode that we'll just put on here.
So
what's the Toy Story?
In reference to the movie thing, Jono and I and Franny.
Oh, dude, that's a good point because it was
about a movie, but we had it was probably our best episode ever.
Oh my God!
Sorry you weren't there, Webb. But we basically talked about what if Toy Story was real.
Yep.
So it was It was fun. It was interesting. It got dark and weird.
Yes.
And it was a little uncomfortable being in the house with Jono and his wife while we talked about it. But it was fun. I loved it.
It was one of those swinger things that
kind of.
What?
Oh gosh.
You'll never know.
I guess not.
You will never know.
I have the files. Okay.
I never get invited to the good parties.
He recorded it all. Sorry.
But so just so you guys know, so we are doing Dread, the 2012 with Armor Schrushman, Harbor Country,
Carl Urban.
You
got a week to figure this out.
It's currently available on Netflix. This is January 12th, and we're going to be smoking the Rough Rider Sweets as our main cigar.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to us.
And there's a special extra. We're almost at 2 hours. We'll probably cut them down to like hour and a half.
It was so comfortable 2 hours.
We had a lot of.
Yeah, it'll absolutely be trimmed.
I mean, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we do apologize. Some of our podcasts will be a little long because we do like to ramble and joke around and goof around.
Make your own podcast.
Feel free to fast forward,
Just through Webby's parts. Fast forward through Webby's parts. He doesn't really add much to this.
His sound effect with the sucking a cigar down.
That was good. That was good. He does. He is the voices sound effects guy. You'll hear Jono every once in a while try to do a voice. It's horrible every time.
Yeah.
Every time. It's kind of sad.
Maybe
by the next episode,
know what to do without me.
Maybe Webby will have a beard by the next episode. We'll see.
Yeah. Or some scraggly stuff.
Get on.
I did have a beard at one point in time.
Get on it.
This was a lot longer.
That's not a. That's your little.
It's just like what he's got, except there's no sideburns.
It's kind of.
So this is Jono signing off with.
Paul, Tony, whatever you want to call me.
Paulie,
and
Webby.
I guess we'll just say go Bills.
Why go Bills?
Because
they're
not going to win.
But don't you?
Whoa.
Hope.
Easy what you say next.
What?
Because somebody was pretty highly critical earlier in the season when they pretty much wrote the Bills off.
Hey.
And who's the number 2 seed?
Hey. We're all in the playoffs, right?
That's
all
right.
3 of our teams are in the playoffs.
Yes.
If the Giants and some of these teams have proved anything, it doesn't matter if you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs. Let's enjoy it. All 3 of our teams are in the playoffs.
Amen.
Kudos to that.
We'll
all be watching the Super Bowl together, not cheering on our teams.
Yes, we've all had our trials and tribulations along the way, for sure.
Well, quit your job.
Yeah. Anywho, thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
Adios, amigos.